Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Conservancy in beautiful Barrhaven, Ottawa. My name is Frank Cairo, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Kaivan Group of Companies. Troy and I, along with the whole Kaivan team, are honored to welcome several leaders today who have tirelessly, in the quest to improve housing affordability in Ontario, are with us today. The Honourable Gregor Robertson, Canada's Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. The Honourable Rob Flack, Ontario's Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. The Honourable Peter Bethlenfalvy, Ontario's Minister of Finance, are all along here aside Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. We stand here today at a critical turning point. For years, the dream of home ownership across Canada has fallen increasingly out of reach for a growing percentage of individuals and families. Rebuilding an affordable housing delivery model in Ontario isn't a challenge that can be fixed casually. Without generational leadership and bold action, it's an impossible task. Growing pressures on home building over the last decade have been significant, with rising costs and fees, approval delays, and taxes, creating an environment where the cost of building often exceeds what the market can afford to pay. Thanks to the decisive leadership of Prime Minister Carney and Premier Doug Ford, and the leaders who stand with us today, the dynamic is now changing, and tens of thousands of jobs in Ontario are being protected. Through exceptional cooperation and a shared vision, Canada's federal and Ontario provincial governments have already moved the needle with the removal of HST on new homes in Ontario. And in doing so, they've made new homes as much as $130,000 more affordable. Since this policy took effect in April, our industry has seen market increase in sales and building activity. It's not an exaggeration to state that the leaders with us today have re-energized this sector in structural failure. This comes at a vital time for construction workers and suppliers, for new home builders, and most importantly, these changes have given new hope to an aspiring generation of new home purchasers. The job is not done, however. Today we'll hear more about development charge reforms, which will play a further role that I am confident will materially improve new home affordability in our province. Without further delay, I'd like to turn this over to Minister Robertson, and thank you all very much for being here today.
Thank you, Frank, and to the whole Kaivan team for hosting us here today on your home building site. Great to be here alongside Ministers Flack and Bethlenfalvy, as well as Mayor Sutcliffe. And to all the leaders from local government as well, thanks for joining us here today, recognizing this is a big partnership that has to have all levels of government working together, as well as representatives from our home building industry, the builders that get our homes built. Thanks for making the time to be here and take these next steps together. Just last week here in Ottawa, I toured a home building site with the Prime Minister, and we heard some great news that as a result of our federal leadership and the partnership with Ontario, it's delivering results by making homes more affordable here in the province. And since announcing our tax cuts on the new homes, that site in particular has seen a 65% increase in sales. So we're seeing good signs already, a strong market rebound, but that's in a much broader context. As Frank said, several major challenges became clear over the last few years. Home ownership has felt unattainable for far too many. Our infrastructure is not keeping pace with our growth as a country, and our communities need more support. We needed a major shift to bridge the divide and to build Canada stronger. So your federal government started with some major steps, launching Build Canada Homes. With that, we are supercharging home building across the country. We've already enabled more than 11,000 homes that are in the works, with thousands more coming in the weeks ahead. Maison Canada nous aide à bâtir à une échelle et un rythme sans précédent depuis des générations. Using Canadian workers and materials, we are building more affordable homes smarter and faster, but we need to bring this approach to everything that we're doing. As we build more homes in Ontario and across Canada, we also need to invest in key infrastructure. In far too many communities, the existing infrastructure is simply not cutting it anymore. It can't support more homes. It can't support the families that are looking to build their lives. So cutting taxes and launching Build Canada Homes were major pieces of the puzzle. Another key piece is cutting development charges, and that's why we're here today. Today, we are going to mark a major milestone in delivering for Ontarians with the official opening of the Canada-Ontario Municipal Development Charge Reduction Program. Bit of a mouthful. I'm sure there's an acronym coming for it. By removing the full 13% HST on new homes in Ontario that are valued up to $1 million, and by reducing these fees, we are bringing down the cost for a new home in Ontario up to $200,000. And this will be done through that combo of reduced development charges and HST relief for home buyers. Our combined efforts will boost housing supply for Canadians and help bring down those costs as well. As part of this agreement, Canada and Ontario together will be investing in infrastructure, $8.8 billion over 10 years through the Build Community Strong Fund. And this funding will support housing enabling infrastructure, post-secondary education infrastructure projects across the province as well. And this agreement is how we are working together to reduce those development fees, which will bring down the cost of homes while building the critical infrastructure that we need in our communities. The development charges will be reduced by up to 50% for 3 years, targeting Ontario's largest and fastest growing cities. This new agreement will reduce the cost of home building, accelerate housing development, and support economic growth through infrastructure investments. Lots of jobs to build that infrastructure. We are making progress on bringing down the cost of homes here in Ontario, and this partnership really focuses on accelerating the housing and infrastructure delivery while lowering the costs and reducing the barriers to construction. Nous investissons également dans le transport en commun et les infrastructures communautaires. Il faut renforcer nos communautés pour que chacun puisse accéder à un logement et à un bon emploi. We are very proud to take this next step together with Ontario. It's a partnership that will make a lasting difference for so many families across the province, and we want to see this spread right across the country. Merci à tout le monde, and thank you very much, and over to the ministers next. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Minister Robertson, for the kind introduction. Always great to be in your presence and get the job done. It's good to be here in our nation's capital alongside, as we've identified, many of our municipal and home building partners, and of course, my friend and colleague, George Deroux. Deroux, where is George? Right behind me. He's a good man. And thank you to Frank Cairo for hosting us at this beautiful site in Barrhaven. The many people here today is an absolute testament to how impactful this measure will be for the housing sector. No question about it. For too long, I've heard about Ontarians struggling with the cost of housing. This is not a new story. As I have said before, we don't have a housing crisis as much as we have an affordability crisis. In Ontario, in Canada, this is simply unacceptable. The dream of home ownership is the quintessential Canadian dream. If you save, sacrifice, and work hard, that dream has to be within reach. For too many of late, that dream has not been in reach. That is why we are here today. Thank you to our friends at OHBA, Build, FERPO, ResCon, and OREA for being here in Ottawa, key sectors representing the entire home building industry in this province. You know all too well how much home builders have struggled in the current housing market, how workers have feared losing their livelihood. Thankfully, due to the efforts made both by the federal and provincial governments, there is light at the end of the tunnel. As Minister Robertson discussed, we have a partnership to build, which made today's announcement possible. We are collectively addressing what is arguably the most salient issue of our time, the reality that it takes too long and that it costs too much to build homes in Ontario. Over the last year, our government, under the leadership of Premier Ford, has passed 3 pro-housing pieces of legislation, Bills 17, 60, and 98. They tackle planning and approval tools like official plans and the Ontario Building Code, as well as the deferral of development charges. Now, we all know well why municipalities charge development fees. Ontario has an insatiable, I repeat, insatiable need to replace aging infrastructure and build new infrastructure. We are a growing province. Development charges have been an important tool used to pay for this needed infrastructure. However, in some municipalities, development charges have become overly inflated, adding well over 6 figures to the cost of a new home. These costs can be prohibitive. These costs contribute to our housing affordability crisis. And that is why we're here today, to support our municipal partners through reductions to development charges. Municipalities that cut DCs by a minimum of 30% will be eligible for funding for shovel-ready infrastructure projects. It's application-based with a required municipal investment of as low as 10%. And I think they'll be happy that it's not more, as low as 10%. Municipalities can have confidence that we will approve acceptable projects quickly with lightning speed. In the coming months, we will also introduce an important infrastructure funding stream for our small, rural, and northern municipalities. These funds will also be available on an application basis with its own criteria for funding. We are making sure that municipalities across every corner of the province, large or small, rural or big city, will have the ability to take advantage of this $8.8 billion infrastructure partnership. Ultimately, building Ontario is a collective effort. We all need to do our part, and we sincerely appreciate our many municipal partners here today who stand alongside us. We have with us President Robin Jones from AMO, Ontario Big Cities Mayors Chair Marianne Mead Ward, Karen Redmond, Chair of the Mayors and Regional Chairs of Ontario, Crystal Lowry, Chair of Roma, Dave Pludre, Chair of FONOM, Rick Dumas, Chair of NOMA, and Mark Sutcliffe, Mayor of Ottawa, who will speak here shortly. Governments don't build homes. I say it repeatedly. Governments don't build homes. However, we do create the conditions to get housing built faster and built affordably. That is exactly what all levels of government are doing today. The DC reduction program, coupled with the historic HST rebate, will kickstart the home building sector and help deliver affordability back for homebuyers. Together, we are protecting over 100,000 jobs in the housing sector, with more to come. Together, we are bringing home ownership within reach for more hardworking families, and together, we will always protect Ontario. I'd now like to invite my colleague and friend, Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy, Minister of Finance for the Province of Ontario, to the podium. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Minister Flack, and thank you for your great leadership on this file. You know, you've done more in such a short period of time, and we thank you for that. You did leave out President of the Treasury Board as one of my titles, but
Temporary.
Temporary, yeah. Well, and I knew this had to be a big announcement when I saw all the VIPs standing behind me. I mean, you've got an all-star cast here representing every corner of the province, the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, the Northern Ontario Municipalities Association, I'm going to forget someone, Rural Ontario Municipalities Association, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the big city mayors, the regions, so I go on. But they're a great group of people, and they're so passionate about making their communities stronger. And I thank them for all being here. And of course, we're here on at Barrhaven, but also as part of the City of Ottawa. I really want to thank Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, who's been doing a phenomenal job. I've got to know him extremely well over the years. This is a very smart guy who is tireless on behalf of Ottawa. I want to thank you, Mayor. Where are you, Mayor? Thank you deeply for your service to the citizens of Ottawa. And of course, none of this would happen without the leadership of Minister Gregor Robertson. Minister, you are a champion for building all kinds of housing right across the country. It's that kind of leadership, along with Prime Minister Carney, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne, and of course, Minister Gregor Robertson, who, by working together with the province, we can do so much more together, and this is a clear example of that here today. So thank you, Minister Robertson. We are working together closely to get this infrastructure, as been said, built faster across the province. And we're doing so because we know that people and workers and families continue to feel the pressure of economic uncertainty and high costs each and every single day. Housing affordability in particular remains one of the biggest challenges facing families today. Simply put, it costs too much and takes too long to build a home in Ontario, and it is pricing families out of living the dream of home ownership. And we cannot allow this to continue. That is why our government has been working to bring down those costs, grow our economy, and build the infrastructure our communities need to thrive. And today's announcement, the new Development Charge Reduction Program, is our government's latest effort to make that happen. C'est pourquoi notre gouvernement travaille pour réduire ces coûts, faire croître notre économie et bâtir les infrastructures dont ont besoin nos communautés pour prospérer. By working with our federal partners through the Canada-Ontario Partnership to Build, our government is making this critical funding available to municipalities, particularly those who reduce development charges by 30 to 50% or more. By investing in more housing-enabling infrastructure, we can help bring down not only the cost of building, but also support critical infrastructure projects that in turn will enable even more home building. So by working together, we can support housing affordability, just like we are doing by cutting the full 13% of HST on new homes to save buyers, as was mentioned, up to $130,000. We have a plan to protect Ontario and build a more competitive, resilient, and self-reliant economy. Nous avons un plan pour protéger l'Ontario et bâtir une économie plus compétitive, résiliente, et autosuffisante. One that it not only helps us build a stronger Ontario with more homes and better infrastructure, but one that holds greater opportunity for future generations. And it is now my honor to pass it over to your mayor, the Mayor of Ottawa, Mark Sutcliffe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Bethlenfalvy. Thank you, Minister Flack, Minister Robertson. Great to be joined today by MPP George DeRuse and also a couple of my colleagues from Ottawa City Council, David Hill and Tim Tierney, who will soon be the president of FCM. And great to be joined by my colleagues from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Welcome back to Ottawa to all of you. The people of Ottawa have made it clear. They want us to be bold and aggressive about building more homes. That's why we're on track to be the most housing-friendly city in Canada. That's why in Ottawa, we're saying yes to housing. Today's announcement is another giant step forward to building more homes in Ottawa. Cette annonce est l'une des plus importantes de l'histoire du logement au Canada. So I want to say thank you to our federal and provincial partners for their collaboration and leadership. Thank you to Premier Ford, Prime Minister Carney, the ministers who are here today. I'm very proud that this announcement is being made right here in Ottawa. And thank you to Frank and the team at Kaivan for hosting us. Residents expect their governments to work together. And that's what we're doing with this announcement. All three levels of government are represented here today, working hand in hand in Ottawa and across Ontario to solve the housing crisis. Through our housing action plan here in Ottawa, we have cut red tape, reduced and deferred costs, unlocked transit-oriented and urban intensification, made it easier to build affordable housing, and transformed the culture at City Hall. Grâce au plan d'action pour le logement, nous avons revu notre processus d'examen des projets d'aménagement. We've eliminated 13 studies that used to add time and money to the process, and we've scaled back the scope of another 13. We've cut fees like community benefit charges. We passed Canada's most forward-looking zoning bylaw, making it easier and faster to build citywide. And we're the first city in Canada to sign an agreement with Build Canada Homes, advancing 3,000 new affordable and mixed-income homes through a $400 million agreement with the federal government. We've done all this and much, much more, and the plan is working. While other cities have seen steep declines in housing starts, our housing starts were up 38% in 2025. A quarter of all rentals built in Ontario last year were built right here in Ottawa. And since 2023, we put industry in a position to build roughly 70,000 new homes in Ottawa. We're approving new homes faster than the industry can build them. Now, we know that development charges are still a big cost that gets passed on to first-time buyers. We've heard so much already today about the dream of home ownership for many young people. Development charges can put housing out of reach for many families. So that's why in Ottawa, we have always kept our development charges low. While other cities have seen their DCs increase to 2 or 3 times higher than ours, we've been extremely cautious and restrained. In Ottawa, we found other ways to fund a significant amount of water and wastewater infrastructure. We've used an affordability lens to guide our infrastructure planning. That means, unlike other cities, first-time homebuyers in Ottawa aren't saddled with those costs. L'annonce aujourd'hui s'inscrit dans la continuité du travail déjà accompli à Ottawa pour faciliter davantage la construction. To put it simply, today's announcement is a game changer for housing here in Ottawa and right across Ontario. By funding infrastructure directly, we are unlocking thousands of projects that we've already approved but are waiting on infrastructure. Substantially more homes will be shovel-ready immediately, and the cost of delivering those homes will be substantially lower. And one last point, we've not only deferred our development charges, but we've also made it so that new homes built in Ottawa will benefit from the lowest rate of DCs during that deferral period. That means that builders who start building today will reap the rewards of the program being announced today. So my message to home builders is this: there has never been a better time to build in Ottawa. It is time to build in Ottawa. My message to Ottawa families is this: we're doing everything we can to make housing more affordable for you. Thousands and thousands of families in Ottawa will have new homes unlocked for them, thanks to the leadership and joint efforts of all 3 levels of government. Des milliers et des milliers de familles d'Ottawa pourront bientôt éménager dans de nouveaux logements grâce au leadership et aux efforts conjoints des 3 niveaux de gouvernement. So once again, thank you, Minister Flack, Minister Bethlenfalvy, Minister Robertson. Thank you for your collaboration and your leadership. Thank you for joining us in Ottawa to say yes to housing. Merci beaucoup.
Now, before I'll pass it over to Minister Robertson, but I did, because I didn't mention him, now I'm going to really embarrass him, MPP George DeRuse, who represents us in Carleton. And in 4 days, 4 more sleeps, I'm going to be his boss as I take over Treasury Board. So George, get a lot of rest. Thank you.
We'll now start with the question and answer period. Nous allons maintenant commencer avec la période des questions. Une question suivie. One question, one follow-up. There's a mic on either end. If reporters can make their way to the mic, identify their outlet, and ask their question. Thank you.
Hi there. Sorry, I have a slight stutter. CBC News, Arthur White-Crummey. This will be both for, I believe, Minister Flack and also for the mayor. So Ottawa collected, I think, about $250 million a year in DCs. It sounds like you're asking for a city contribution of perhaps 10%, meaning that this fund would only cover 90% or less of the actual lost income. I'm just wondering how a city like Ottawa can afford to lose out on potentially $25 million or more in income that we need to build this infrastructure.
Good question. If we don't build any homes, they're not going to collect any development charge revenue, right? If we don't build any homes, there's no HST lost. So what we're doing is trying to kickstart the housing industry. Yes, they have to have a little skin in the game. But remember that the DC reduction rate is 30% to 50%, not 100%. So they're still going to collect DCs. Our revenue, supported in this funding stream, will be over 10 years. So they apply, they have shovel-ready projects that can kickstart housing right away. And the bottom line, cities like Ottawa are going to reap the benefits. This is not a loss to the city of Ottawa. This is a gain. I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Minister. And, I guess I think we have a choice. We can look at it as the glass being, 10% full, or what would be the right way to do it? We can look at it as the glass being 10% empty or 90% full, right? So this is an opportunity. When I hear, the federal government and the provincial government are investing $8.8 billion over the next 10 years in infrastructure, my immediate reaction is, I do the math on the population of Ontario and the population of Ottawa,
And as you know, you've been reporting today, we have an infrastructure gap in our city. This is an opportunity for us to be attracting something in the range of $600 to $700 million in investment in infrastructure from those other levels of government over the next 10 years. So it's a huge opportunity for the City of Ottawa. We'll work with our partners at the other levels of government on all the details of how we'll make this happen. But if there are more homes being built, we'll be collecting more revenues in the future, more property tax revenues, and we'll be building more infrastructure. And we'll have a growing community that's more affordable for everyone. And I think that's what we all want.
Sure. I think I may be wrong, but I thought I heard this program lasts for about 3 years. Some of these projects obviously have very long lead times. How can we be sure that this is actually, that these savings are actually going to stimulate development during that period and lead to lower costs for homeowners as opposed to just benefiting developers for projects that were already going to be built anyway?
Well, again, the 10% that they would likely have been invested anyways in these projects. So we're saying that's a prerequisite to get in the game. They're going to lower their DCs for 3 years. They're going to get funded over 10. So if we really want to kickstart infrastructure spending in this province or investment in this province, it has to start now. That's why we're asking for shovel-ready projects, not something off in the future. Let's kickstart this. Right now, we have an affordability crisis. If we do nothing, we're going to keep with the same result. We're changing the playing field. We're changing the game. We're lowering costs. We're making it more affordable for people to build homes. And our cities, large or small, and remember, it's small, rural and northern communities going to benefit ultimately in this program. Big cities as well. This is for everybody across all our municipalities.
I'll maybe just add to that, if I may. You know, there's also another piece apart from the affordability, 13% off on the HST, which we, by our modeling, will increase new jobs by 21,000 and have almost a $3 billion impact on GDP. I mean, that's not to be forgotten that those construction jobs are powerful, and also the boost to the economy. Buying a new home, you got to put a fridge in there, you got to put furniture in there, so it has a real stimulative effect on the economy. So it's you might ask the finance minister and the Treasury Board interim president. I see a real boost to jobs, to the economy, and also along with the helping people with the dream of home ownership.
Next question.
Bonjour, Frédéric, Radio-Canada. Minister Flack, I just want to know, City of Ottawa has missed their target for building new homes year by year, a target that was, put in place by the province. So do you think that this is going to help them gain this target? We know there's a slowdowns in some of the other markets, and Ottawa could also be impacted by that in the future. So do you think this is going to help?
I do think it's going to help. The Building Fast Fund was good. This program is a lot better. I'll tell you why. Because cities don't always get to have the ability to who builds what, where, and why. This creates the conditions to get the homes built. So yes, criteria will be so much 10% skin in the game, a minimum 30% reduction, but also they'll be measured, the applications will be measured based on the number of homes they hope to see get started. So I think it's going to be tailor fit for every municipality is different. So we look forward to the applications. And again, we want to ask those applications to come in pretty quickly over the next 3 weeks. We'll measure them fast, and we're going to get some big announcements. And Mayor Sutcliffe and I have already talked about having a quick, fast announcement for Ottawa to kickstart the industry.
Merci. Monsieur le maire, j'aimerais ça vous entendre sur l'impact que vous pensez que ces réductions-là vont avoir. Je vous ai entendu dire 600 millions peut-être. Combien vous pensez d'unités qui pourraient être reconstruites grâce à cette réduction?
Je ne sais pas exactement, mais c'est clair qu'il y a beaucoup de projets qui n'ont pas avancé parce que le formule n'est pas bien pour les promoteurs. Alors, d'avoir une réduction de 30 à 50% des frais, l'impact sera que c'est de faire en sorte que ces projets peuvent avancer. Alors, je pense que ça sera beaucoup d'impact pour les promoteurs comme Kaivan et les autres ici à Ottawa pour avancer des projets qui à ce moment, n'avancent pas.
Merci.
we'll do one last call for questions. And I think that ends, sorry.
I'm going to just say one little commercial for HBA and Build, our folks here. So get this number. We've seen over 5,000 sales since the introduction of the HST on March the 25th. 5,000 new sales. That's one-third, more than one-third than all new sales last year in the province of Ontario. So we've had a great kickstart. I think DC reduction program is going to add more acceleration to the growth. Congratulations to all the builders who are getting it done. Lots more to do, but we're being fortunate to have quiet here now. Normally, I think this would be pretty loud in construction season. So congratulations to the success so far. Get ready. This is going to be really good. Thank you very much.
And on that positive note, we'll end today's press conference. Thank you.